For years, I have sworn over and over that I would not buy one of these, but I give up. Now this little toolbox isn't a toolbox. It is a diesel heater. I like to camp in the winter, and over the years, you've heard me have little complaints or issues with my Mr. Heater Buddy that I've been using. And many of you have said many times over the years, just get a diesel heater, just get a diesel heater. You should get a diesel heater. And I have resisted, and I have resisted, and I had my reasons for resisting, and I think they're good reasons. Budget diesel heaters require a lot of finicky assembly and can be prone to malfunction. If you're not driving a diesel rig, getting a diesel heater means that you now need to carry 3 types of fuel: gasoline for your vehicle, propane for cooking, and diesel for your diesel heater. Diesel heater systems can end up being bulky because not only you have the heater unit, which sometimes is bigger than this, and you also have ducting, some way to sort of set it up outside of your rig if that's what you're doing, or else you have to build it in to your rig someplace where it's going to consume a chunk of storage space and simply be more complex in terms of installation and in terms of dealing with issues that may come up, which seems to be common. So I still don't want a diesel heater, but I stumbled across this in a video, and it was by far the most plug and play diesel heater I'd ever seen. Hook up the duct, hook up the exhaust pipe, plug it in, and it's ready to go. And when I found this a couple of months ago on Amazon, it was at $150. So for $150, I was like, okay, it looks very simple to use. I don't have to put a bunch of parts together. Let's give it a try. Now this video is not sponsored in any way. Sunster did not send this to me. I saw some videos about it. I went to Amazon and I bought it. There are a number of other reviews on YouTube about this, but it appears to me that most of them were actually given the heater to review. I would encourage taking a look at the Amazon reviews for this because they are mixed. Some people have been really happy with it. Some people have had some bad experiences. I will say, testing it here at home and out camping one night, it did work for me. I wouldn't call this video really a comprehensive review. I would say it's more of a look at this thing and here are my first impressions. So it's not really a toolbox. It is something that they have put together. And this does look very much like the H-Calorie toolbox heater. However, some of the reviews I found said that this seems to be a sort of upgraded or better version or improved version of that heater. Whether or not it's made by the same company, I'm not sure. I've heard claims that this is the company that actually makes the one that H-Calorie has branded with their name, but I do not know. This lid does open up, and in here you can see there is the heater itself, and here is where you put diesel in. The heat outlet is here. This is a 3-inch opening. There is where the power supply plugs in. On the back is the exhaust outlet. Now this comes with an exhaust pipe that you put onto that exhaust outlet. The control panel is here inside this little door, and in the other door find a remote control for turning it on and off and adjusting the temperature. It comes with this ducting that is like metal lined foil on the inside and some sort of black vinyl on the outside, and it stretches out to, I don't know, maybe 4, maybe you could get 5 feet out of it. It's not super long. It does pack down nice and compact. That duct just goes on that outlet, and then you run that wherever you need it. Now this comes with an AC power adapter, and that is how I've been using it. It does also come with a plug that just is stubbed out to some wires so that you can wire it into your 12-volt system. Now, as my regular viewers know, life has thrown me some complications over the past 4 or 5 weeks. I've had to spend a lot of time out of town dealing with a family emergency. I was able to get out for one night with this heater. Now, one of the things that I'm still trying to figure out is how I would integrate this, or rather where I would put this when it's running. I feel like I don't want it just sitting outside where it could get rained on, because rain is a common feature in my winter camping trips. When I did go out to camp with this for a night, I improvised sort of a setup, and I'll just let you take a look at that field test now. Okay, this is a little bit of a rinky-dink test setup. My back wall made out of scraps of foam insulation. It's a cold, wet night. The foothills of the Cascades. Let's see what this does on the inside. So yeah, until I get some sort of a better, more permanent setup figured out, I just have to crawl over that. Close this. And it's not a perfect seal, but I mean, nothing, as I always leave the tent windows a little bit open at night anyway. And oh man, that is putting some nice heat into here. Oh wow, that's pretty pleasant. Also, because the 12 volt setup just came with stubbed out wires that need to be wired into something, I am using the AC power source. Now you can see that's currently drawing 39 watts. Yeah, I saw it peak up at around 300, 400 maybe as it was first warming up. But now that it's just running, 37 watts, 38 watts. That's pretty reasonable. Oh, that is nice, hot air. And I've got it at about, I think about halfway. It's not at the hottest setting at all. It's about halfway up. Now, I have no intention of running that heater overnight while I sleep. I know a lot of people do, but I still can't bring myself to burn fuel all night long just to have heat just getting dissipated all night long when I can just cozy up inside my sleeping bag with the electric blanket. Now with the remote control, I should be able to just shut it off when I'm ready, and then in the morning I should be able to turn it on while I'm still in bed, let it warm up in here, and then get out of bed with the warm camper. That's the idea anyway. So if I can use that when I'm in here in the evening, it's very pleasant, and obviously not adding more moisture to the air than there's already in here. You know, my feet are wet, a little bit of water come in through the tailgate here, but if this dry heat can help and Mr. Heater Buddy is not adding more moisture to the air, hopefully we can steer clear of any significant amount of condensation. And I can definitely hear that. I mean, it's definitely making some noise in here. What it's not doing is any sort of tick, 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 tick that a lot of people complain about with diesel heaters. That's one of the things that reviews that I've seen sort of raved about this, the fact that the fuel pump is quiet. Now that really wasn't a concern for me because I don't intend to sleep with it anyway. So if it was ticking right now, I actually wouldn't even care. But that may be a detail that you find interesting. Okay, well, I am in bed. The heater is still running. Got the electric blanket all warmed up. I'm gonna shut this off, see if this works. You can see the heater out there. Yep, it says off. It's got to go through its sort of cooling down cycle, so it keeps it blowing for a little bit. Wow. Well, that seemed to work pretty nicely. It was very pleasant sitting in the camper this evening. I just hung out in here, did some reading, reviewed my footage, just warm and comfortable. I ended up turning it down to, I think, the second to lowest setting, because it was just plenty warm in here. And now I'm just getting into bed very cozy, comfortable, not chilled. And then hopefully tomorrow morning when I wake up, fire that thing back up and get it warm in here. We'll see how it goes in the morning. Good night. Hey, it is morning. So it's now 7:09. It's been running, what, about 8 minutes. I just waited a little bit for it to warm up. Now, this obviously doesn't create as much of a massive blast of heat as the Mr. Heater Buddy does, but it's definitely a more pleasant dry heat. Obviously, I didn't run it all night long. It is very humid. It's raining all night. I do have condensation on that metal strip there. And when I fired that up this morning, I did notice sort of a plasticky smell. I imagine as new as it is, that might be something that goes away after it's heated several times. I did run it at home for a little bit when I was testing it out. I didn't notice the plastic smell as much last night. Okay, so a couple of other thoughts as I'm waking up here this morning. Obviously the diesel heater requires a little bit of a time to get rolling and start producing heat. It's not instant. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning and I look outside and the sun is just starting to peek up over the hills or whatever, and it's going to be a beautiful sunrise, I want to get up, get dressed, and get outside immediately so that I can film that. So the Mr. Heater Buddy, man, I turn that on and it is instant warmth and comfort. You know, even if it's, you know, well below freezing, you can very quickly be comfortable getting up and getting dressed. Whereas with the diesel heater in that situation, I think I would just have to deal with the cold. I would have to get up and get dressed and deal with the cold. On the flip side, as I'm sitting in here kind of waking up and just realizing how comfortable it is, I often wake up early, and on a winter morning, you know, if it's gray out, a little bit rainy, there's really no compelling reason to go outside yet. I'd be pretty happy sitting in here and doing a little work for an hour. Oh yeah, obviously that ridiculous setup has to change. That is not a long-term solution at all. Got to figure out some way to be able to have the heater set up and running, protected from the weather, but still, you know, get the heat inside and still have the exhaust outside. I got some figuring to do. So the fuel level indicator is a little hard to see. It's basically just this window, this opening through to the translucent fuel tank that is inside of there. Yeah, you probably can't even see. It looks like the level is right about there. Now, it was about half full when I came yesterday, about there, I guess. So it has dropped that much, a little less than, yeah, maybe like 1.5 of those notches. Running it last night and running it this morning. So for me, not running it overnight, just in the evenings and the mornings, just one fill of this tank, you know, give me 1, 2, 3, 4, probably at least 5 days. So I think a lot of the time, I wouldn't even need to carry extra diesel with me. Just the diesel that would be on board would be fine for anything except for like a week-long trip. So the built-in control panel here has an array of displays. It looks like because the heat is running, Bluetooth is on, or no wait, that is Bluetooth, I'm not sure. Sound, time I have it set. So it does have a thermostat feature apparently. I'm not quite sure how you get your inside temperature so that this knows what your inside temperature is, unless maybe you have this whole entire box inside. It says 59, obviously it's not 59 degrees out here, not even close, so I don't know. I think this is some sort of elevation sensor. It says 0.7 of a kilometer. Now these buttons, I fiddle with this at home and I struggle to operate this thing. Now these do make the heat level go up and down, and these other buttons, the manual is not all that terribly helpful, and for like
startup procedure, it talks about pressing a shift key, but there's no shift key. Nothing that's defined in the manual is a shift key. So I don't know. What I have found is that the remote, nice and simple, turns it on, turns it off, turns it up, turns it down. That's the functions that I really need. I don't care about the rest of it. So I'm using this. Now, some of the reviews I watched talked about the exhaust down here at the bottom getting really hot, and to make sure you protect whatever, you know, is underneath this thing. So I brought this little metal plate which I just put underneath it to protect, you know, this plastic here, but it is actually, it's not hot at all. It didn't absorb any heat. It's been sitting right there just within, you know, a half an inch of that exhaust. But that does not seem to be, I mean, that's hot, yeah, but I don't think that's going to melt my tailgate. I don't think that's necessary at all. That is cold. It's just cold. So one definite gripe here is this where the heat comes out. This little outlet thing is super, super shallow. And what I found is I could not get this duct that came with the heater to stay on here. And I went and got you know, a pipe clamp like that, but even that I can't really get it to stay positively on there. Even with that, if I bump this the slightest bit, it just comes right off. So I have to be very careful with that, or I got to figure something else out, because I wish this was just, you know, if it stuck out even 3/4 of an inch so you could really get a grip on that. As nifty and tidy as this is, you still have this other stuff that has to come with you. Power cord, duct, exhaust pipe, heat shield that I didn't need, screwdriver to loosen and tighten those pipe clamps. Now, a disadvantage of leaving that tailgate open all night for the heater to sit there, at least on a rainy night, is that this edge of my awning, even though it does come out like all the way to here, the truck is sitting slightly not quite level, and the rain also seems to have been coming in this direction, and so I have accumulated quite the little puddle here. So that's not ideal. I'm still not quite sure what the solution is going to be. So to sort of sum up here, I have to admit that the heat that the diesel heater put out was very pleasant. Hot, dry, warm. Hot and warm. Very pleasant heat. Since I didn't run it all night long, it wasn't quite enough to keep away the condensation on those metal crossbars on the roof of my camper, so that may still be something I need to address. But I do like the fact that this was not pumping even more moisture into the camper. I like that it came fully assembled, plug and play, just ready to go. I like the form factor in this tidy little package. I like that it's got a little remote control so I can turn it on and off while I'm in bed. I'm still a little puzzled on how to integrate this because I don't want this thing sitting inside of my camper. I don't want it sitting outside in the rain. So I've got some ideas. I just need life to sort of settle back down so I can fiddle with this a little bit more. I do not like this tiny, tiny little lip on this heat outlet that makes it very difficult to keep the duct in place. Something else that I need to fiddle with. I have a couple of ideas there too. I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. I will put a link in the description below to this heater on Amazon. And once again, not sponsored, not affiliated with this company in any way. I just bought this off of Amazon. I will continue to fiddle with this and try and come up with a better way to make it work with my setup. And once I've had more opportunity to use this, more nights, putting it through its paces over the course of the winter, I'll probably come back with a more comprehensive review. If you have any questions about this, post them in the comments below, and thank you for watching.